Hi, this is Richard from Spirits of Japan. Third attempt at this. Kampai. Seriously, if you don't drink and you try to do this, you lose your mind. All right, so we got this guy. We're on Hanzei and Ingyo right now, which they never counted. They never counted the 15th. Emperor Empress. Her name was Empress Jingu. They never counted her. They skipped over her, though she reigned for like 68 years. Hello. So though my number is going to be off from what they call, because they're calling Hanzei the 18th emperor, which he wasn't. He was 19th emperor. Just get that hands down now. I count Emperor Junior because she was a badass. So with that said, we're into Emperor Hanzei becomes emperor at the age of 70. He only dies like 3 years later. It's really stupid. We don't really know what happened to the guy. He, I guess when he was born, they always say he had like his teeth looked like one bone going across. He was very handsome, debonair. Um, so he grows up and marries this uh, princess here. Let's go back to. I've got so many documents here. He marries this lady. Well, she's like an imperial consort, imperial lady. All right, so not really an empress, but her name's Imperial Lady Tsunohime. So he marries her, and with her has two children, Princess Kaihime and Princess Tsubura Hime. And then he takes her younger sister. Her name is Oto Hime, and then they have a boy and a girl with her. The little girl is Takara, and then Takabe is the boy. So none of these kids will become emperor because he dies in the 6th year of his reign, meaning that all of his kids at the best are 6, 5, 4, and 3 or 2 or something like that. So that's kind of sucks. So all these kids are very young. So Ingyo, um, his um, his brother, Let me get pop over to him too. And Ingyo is his younger brother, takes over the reins. Um, the very same year. Um, so, but when he did, he was like, I don't know, he got sick somewhere along the line. And again, I don't know. There's not a lot of information on these guys. It's been lost somewhere. But somewhere along the line, Ingyo gets sick, and he gets to the point where he's like handicapped. And so, despite all of that, he's got all of his reservations about becoming a great leader, and he doesn't think that the people are going to respect that. I guess the people around him really supported it. So um, he, the lady that he eventually ends up being with, pretty tough old girl, I would bet. Her name was Oshisaka no Ona Katsuhime, and it was his niece actually. So when he is convinced by her. I mean, one day she just lays down the line, and he's all in his little depressive state, and I guess he had cut himself or did something to try to fix his deal. And just kind of really in a depressed state of life there, and she, in order to convince him, I guess it was, she was waiting for him while he was doing his thing, his prayers or whatever he was doing outside. It was winter. She was holding water. Her hands were almost frozen. He realizes it and regrets it and says, "Oh wow, you really have that much faith in me and all this." Eventually says, "You're right. You're right. I should do this." So at the age of 36, because he was young, being that still that young and having that doubt about yourself, I'm sure it was pretty heavy. Because he eventually ends up dying at the age of 77. But in that period of time, he marries, we'll call her Onakatsu. Okay, he marries Onakatsu, and when he marries Onakatsu, who was Emperor Ojin, we talked about him a couple back, was um, connected with that line. They have, gosh, they have 9 kids together, 5 sons and 4 daughters. Um, wow. And 2 of them, Anko and Yuraku, which is the third son and the fifth son, are going to eventually become emperors. So he's having these babies with Mama. Everything's going well. He gets down to his fifth son. I guess between the fourth and the fifth, between the fourth son, I guess the second daughter that they had and the fourth son, or it was the fourth son and the fifth son, somewhere in there. He wants that. I don't know. We've got so many consorts going on, and some of them have multiple. Some of these emperors had multiple consorts. But here we're going to come to the first woman that shows a sign of jealousy. So she evidently at some party dances for the emperor, and I guess his attitude about being emperor is completely changed now. She got him going, brought him back from the depth of depression, has all these kids for him. He's living a pretty damn good life. And all of a sudden, she dances for him, and he says, it's customary for you to offer me a woman. And she's like, what? And so everybody's watching. So she dances again. So it's probably an awkward moment. And she has them play another thing. She dances again. And then she offers up her little sister, thinking that, that's as far as it would go. Because I guess it was, like I said, again, an kind of an awkward situation. So with that said, you have all these kids that they're taking care of. The Empress had also gone through some kind of, or the Emperor with some kind of a disease, and a doctor was dispatched, and he was cured. He got another disease on top of whatever the issue he had. So he's come back. He's feeling pretty tough. He gets the sister as a consort in name, and then he wants to see her. Okay, and there's all these protocols, and the protocols aren't being followed, and it's got to the point where he finally takes her. Okay, so yeah, she's totally jealous. She's still pregnant with the next baby and the next baby and stuff like that, and so yeah, she pressures him to the point where he actually builds a castle close by, and I forget the name of the castle. I want to say Fujihara, but hold on. Yeah, he built a palace for her called Fujihara Palace. And when she was about to have her fourth son, on that night, he takes off and he's going to go to Fujihara and see the little sister Oto. And she's like, "Are you kidding? Because so many people die during childbirth. This is a life or death situation. You have a child being born. You're going to do that." So he felt bad, so he stays back, but eventually starts going there. And I think within 3 years, he goes there like 5 times. And now she's on him again. Like, come on, you're burdening the citizens. Everybody sees what you're doing. Don't you feel bad? She throws this guilt trip. So the guy sounds like he was pretty, could be manipulated, either good or bad. He ends up stopping to do that. He goes on this hunting trip on Awaji Island, in like the 14th year of his reign. And there was a bunch of deers and monkeys, and there's the wild boar there, and they're hunting, and they can't find any game. They're not catching anything, and so the gods evidently come to him and said that this particular god of Awaji Island, which was the first island in Japanese Shinto mythology, called Onogoro. Okay, so this god of the island says, in the depths of Akaishi, where the sea here, there's a pearl. If you offer the pearl to me as a a gift or a sacrifice, then I will help you get lots of game. So he calls upon these divers, and nobody can find us except this guy from Nagano. And if you're familiar with Japan, Nagano's away in the mountains, and this guy is like the bomb. He goes down, he finds this huge awabi, abalone. And well, there can't be. It's an abalone, so it's not a regular clam. No, no, no. It's huge. You can't believe how big it is. And so the guy dies after he ties the rope on. And when he comes, they see him. They pull this thing out and bam! It was like as big as They pop open the abalone, and there's this pearl in there, a pearl inside with as big as a peach. So they offered it to the god. They did a service for the guy, which his tomb is still there on the island, and given by an emperor. So it was pretty done very well. As a thank you for his sacrifice of what he did, and they got a lot of game. The oldest brother, guy was or his son, his oldest son, was a guy called Kinashi, and Kinashi was named when he was crown prince. He started getting a little stuck up himself, and got to the point where he started liking his sister. And by some things it says it's an older sister, but he was definitely firstborn. Some says it's a younger sister. Some says it may have been twins. There's nobody who knows, but whatever the case, he fell in love with his sister, and so he, wanted her. She wanted him. It was kind of an awkward situation, but eventually she gets banished. And he goes into this depression mode and ends up creating problems later on with other women. So he's got that on his plate. He get to the point where he was in his 70s, and he banishes this boy again, this Kinashi. He has all these issues on him, and but he's liked by the populace. Everybody loves him. He doesn't have just one consort that he only probably met 6 or 7 times. He has a hard-headed young son who's dealing with incest, which of course he married his niece, so it's not, there's probably a lot of sake drunk back then. But he dies in the 42nd year of his reign, and he was 77 years old. I guess he was really good with the whoever the Emperor of China was at the time, because they sent like 80 ships and 80 musicians and as a gift for the mourning period, which lasted 6, 7, 8 months or whatever the count was. So his third child would end up being the next emperor, and we'll talk about him next, as we've definitely gone. It's 13 minutes. We've definitely gone over. So there's a lot. Sorry about that. But that is Hanzei and Ingyo. Ingyo, which reigned from Hanzei from 406 to 410, 409, and then 410-ish, and then the 410 to 11 was kind of open because he was doubting whether he could, as a sick person, be an emperor, and then 411 to 453 is when he, also at 416 we had the first registered earthquake on record. That it's still, so in Japan. So there we go. Everybody, Richard, Spirits of Japan. Please check me out at nihontamashi, and thank you very much. So talk to you soon. Take care.